So for some reason, I felt like I had the urge to build new decks and make more videos during this throwback rotation. Not really sure why, but because of that I decided to fork over some money for the battle pass so I could craft some new decks. And then I happened to own a bunch of the cards required for this deck anyway, so I decided to play some Arcus Shadow. So Arcus Shadow is very much a glass cannon kind of deck. You have no defensive tools. You technically have some healing with Cerberus and Gilnelis, although mostly you use that at finishes. Ceres also, I guess, heals you. But this deck has no wards. Its main goal is just to punch your opponent in the face with ghosts after you play Arcus, or maybe even without Arcus you can still OTK, but we'll get to that later. Anyway, the point is that this deck has very little in the way of defensive tools. You have like the standard, like you have stuff like Manifest Malice, I guess, like clear board and like stuff, but your ability to answer your opponent's board is more limited compared to other decks, and even if you do answer your opponent, you might spend all your resources answering your opponent's board and then you have nothing to kill your opponent with. So it's kind of a glass cannon kind of deck. You have to kill your opponent before they kill you, which means that I mean, some matchups are pretty miserable, some matchups are okay, but yeah, we'll be playing some Arcus Shadow. This is the list I'm running. I edited like the bunch of the numbers like based on my own personal preference. You can run different numbers if you want. Notably, I only run 2 Arcus. You can run 3 if you want, but you can win games without Arcus, so I don't think it's quite necessary to run 3, although maybe 3 does help. I mean, Arcus kind of feels bad to play, like 7 cost, do nothing is kind of gross, so yeah. That's it for the deck list, I guess. Let's move on to the gameplay. So our first match for today is against Forest going second. I kind of like going second for the context of Arcus Shadow, because I think going second is harder than going first. Like, the difference between going second and first is pretty big. You're much stronger going first because then you can go on the offensive. Yeah, on the defensive, you're not super strong on the defensive for this deck. Especially against Forest, which usually plays an aggressive deck, so this is a bit of an annoying matchup. For the Mulligan, Ceres, this might be interesting to keep, but for now I just kept Manifest Malice and look for other cards to help me answer their early game board. The thing about Ceres against Forest in particular is that Forest tends to go wide, so even Ceres isn't that helpful in answering their wide aggression. So here I go ahead and drop Gramarye turn 1. Normally I don't do this because she can do other things like help you draw cards, but in this case I need something to answer their followers, so I drop the Gramarye here just as a trade option. And they do play Fairy Whisperer, which we can trade off into with the Gramarye, which is good. We definitely hold on to Manifest Malice for when there's more annoying things on board that we need to clear. Like Lisa here, which I believe I just use Manifest Malice. Pick up Friend here, but I think her spell is better saved for later on, so we go ahead and use Manifest Malice to clear the Liza here, and just hit face with Nicola. And there's the Water Fairy for my opponent, as well as a Goblin, and then a Fairy Whisperer as well. Bit of a white board, but not something that is beyond our ability to handle at this point. We can trade off the Nicola. And we can use Manifest Malice to clear the 2 remaining followers. And then we can just drop Nicola for him, have him scale a bit, I guess. There's a fairy for my opponent, and another fairy for my opponent, and another fairy for my opponent. They have a lot of fairies in hand right now, so... And there's another fairy, so they're just completely going wide and trying to rush me down, which is somewhat annoying. There goes our Nicola here, which is not the worst. Got the Cerberus here. We go ahead and set up Cerberus. Against white board, Cerberus' ability to give your followers last words to ping 1 damage is quite useful, so we can go ahead and use the Cerberus, use our evil points actively to clear that board so that we can stop their aggression. So we can hopefully not die. My opponent does go ahead and trade here, which is good for me. And there's Luxglaive Bale, which is annoying. And they have Cynthia as well to make it evolve off here, which is very, very scary. Go ahead and evolve it, summon 2 Fairy Wisp here. And then they play another Luxglaive Bale just to round it off. So very, very disgusting board from there. Unfortunately, we don't quite have Big Soul Hunter, or whatever that card is called, in our hand, so we have to sort of tide ourselves over with Cerberus here again. The goal of Cerberus is being able to hopefully clear these wisps as well as having the Coco for healing if my opponent trades inefficiently. This fairy circle as well, and they are gonna go ahead and summon another fairy as well as Lina and Lena, so they are just rushing me down right now. Which we don't particularly enjoy, so there's the Cynthia Evo as well, which is gonna go face I believe here. Very gross, very close to dying here, but thankfully we pick up the Big Soul Hunter so we can go ahead and snipe the Cynthia here. And then we can use Friend to hopefully clear some of this board. We got the Friend's Curse here, which we can use to snipe the Lena as well. And then clearing those first will allow us to evolve Coco. And we can trade Coco and use the last words to clear one of these, which is great. So we've managed to answer quite a bit of their board, although we are very low now, so we have to try and survive. You can see my opponent is going wide here with their fairies, and they just hit me in the face, so they're just trying to aggro me down at this point. I have Manifest Malice here, we can go ahead and use that to clear a bunch of followers. And then we can go ahead and put Ceres down to start healing up so that we can hopefully not die. And there's another Fairy Circle. Thankfully their top decks aren't super powerful, although Fairy Circle is quite annoying, but it's definitely not winning them a game, so that's fine. Here we go ahead and play Nicola and then Gramarye because this clears the most enemy followers, and right now that's our priority, is to clear as many followers as possible so we can keep ourselves safe and heal up. Opponent does play another Fairy Circle. Apparently they just keep drawing Fairy Circles for some reason. They go ahead and drop their two fairies and then they just hit face here, which is fine because with Gilnalise in hand this is gonna be lethal, so bit of a nasty game here, but managed to survive their aggro just barely because they didn't draw the X guy. So yeah, that's it for this game. Let's move on to the next one. So next game we are going against Rune here, and we are going second. Rune I would consider a pretty nasty matchup because they have quite a bit of damage, we have little healing and ways to stop it. We have no wards, so we have to just try and kill them before they kill us. So to that end we prioritize looking for cards like Deadly Dreamer and stuff they can draw into our deck, advance our win con and aggro them down with ghosts. Honestly, Ceres is not a bad keep because usually your high rolly OTKs will rely on Ceres, so keeping her wouldn't be that bad, but I guess I just chose not to. There's Clark, which is fine. We have Deadly Dreamer here, which we're gonna drop. Deadly Dreamer is pretty nice. Hopefully they clear this for us. If they go face, it's actually pretty annoying with the Verdict Ritual, but thankfully they do go board with the Verdict Ritual. If they weren't face, that would have been annoying since we had no play this turn, but since they were kind enough to clear our follower for us, we can go ahead and play the Deep Dream. And there's the Solomon as well. Always check your opponent's Solomon. You can see how much discounted this time. It's discounted by 2, so it's a 5-cost spell, so yeah, worth noting there. You can also if you're playing like very seriously, you can also choose to count how many Spellboost their ring is at so that you know when Ryo is coming. Generally I don't think that hard because I'm lazy, but I guess it's a good exercise if you want to play seriously. So that puts their ring at 1 now, and there's at 2. Eleanor can spell boost it for 1 more time, so it's probably at 3 by now. Thankfully they didn't evolve Eleanor here. If they evolve Eleanor again, it would have been a bit annoying, but since they didn't, we can go ahead and use Ceres to clear the Eleanor without damaging our Ceres to make sure that they have some trouble clearing this. Well, it does drop the Tetra. If they trade the Tetra in, that's good for us because they have wasted one of their evil points and an entire follower on Ceres here, which is fine. But they do have Wind Blast, so they will just go ahead and get rid of our Ceres that way, which is less fun for us. Take this chance to play Eternal Vow so that we can drop Arcus next turn safely. And also so we can set up an early game, or sort of early high rolly kind of lethal because we're not making it to turn 10 this game, most likely. When we hit face here, we definitely want to hold on to some of these 0-cost cards for when we play Arcus next turn so that We can answer whatever they play next turn along with dropping Arcus. It's the Mecha Wing Angel from them. Go ahead and drop the Arcus on board here. And then we can pick out Deadly Dreamer. We don't necessarily need to spend our 0 cost cards right now, so we shouldn't do that. So you know what I mean. So go ahead and just clear their assembly droids here. Honestly, I'm not sure if it's even necessary to clear the assembly droids, but I guess I decided to for some reason. Hold on to our Lady in Grey because we can look for a lethal next turn with Lady in Grey into Big Soul Hunter, trade one of the goals, play Gilnalese for 14 damage, which they are at right now. Oh, this is gonna be their Ryo turn, which we kind of expected seeing their spell boost speed, so this is fine within expectations. We kind of want them to play Ryo here because that means that they are very open to getting OTK'd by us. So yeah, this is like probably the only way you're winning against Rune is with a bit of a high rolly kind of OTK strategy, so kind of have to play a bit more risky against Rune, I think. Let's Flame Destroyer as well, but that's fine. Go ahead and finish them also. We go ahead and play Big Soul Hunter here. We pop one follower, that doesn't really matter. Go ahead and trade one ghost here to make board space. Lady Engraved summons 2 more ghosts, and then with Gilnalese we can buff the whole board, and then with our evil points, a nice 14 damage lethal. So that's it for this game. Let's move on to the next one. Our last game here is against Sword, and we are going first this time. Yeah. So when I was playing Midrange Sword for the first half of the throwback rotation, yeah, actually, I felt like this matchup was pretty difficult to win as Sword. Now that I started playing Rune, I mean the Shadow, I've just realized that it's actually just because my opponents are gods and they draw all the good cards from their decks every time. Either that or I just suck at playing Sword, but let's pretend that second option doesn't exist. So, in the way against Sword, the most dangerous thing they can do is aggro you from early because you have no healing. So we go ahead and keep Manifest Malice here. Actually, I don't know why I threw Manifest Malice there. I probably should have kept it. I think because I was going first, I thought I wouldn't need it, but honestly, I think I should have kept it. But oh well. Go ahead and drop the Gramarye here to start punching them in the face, and also we don't have a play next turn, so I kind of want to play Soul Conversion on it. We drop the Gramarye here. Opponent doesn't have a quick later to clear it, so we can go ahead and use Soul Conversion, draw into our deck. We have a friend to clear whatever they play, so that's fine. There's Latham, which a friend doesn't actually clear, which is somewhat unfortunate, so we use Manifest Malice. Our priority in the early game is really just to stop them from dealing damage as much as possible because, as I've said many times before, we have very limited ways to stop their damage in the late game, so we need to minimize it in the early game so that we don't die. Go ahead and play Friend here to clear their Aether so that they can't evolve it next turn or go face with it. Probably both if we let it live. And there's Rapier Master, which is a pretty weak turn from them, which is very good for us, especially since they don't evolve it, so we can just play Saras for free here and use Saras to clear their Rapier Master, and hopefully this Saras should be difficult to clear for them. And they do go ahead and play Lucius here, which is fine. It's not too bad for us. Go ahead and get Eternal Vow played here. Then we play the Lady Grey, mainly because we want the Gramarye to come out. She reanimates 2 and we haven't destroyed 2 cost followers, so she summons a Gramarye, which we can use to draw off Lady Grey so that we can improve our hand, because honestly our hand's looking pretty shit right now. We do spend our evil points before they spend a single one, which is somewhat concerning, but I mean, we have Big Soul Hunter and Friend in hand, so we're not that bad in terms of board clear. Go ahead and drop the Saras here just to annoy them. That's really the main goal. We just want to annoy them with Saras, give the time to clear, and if they leave it on board, we can use it to clear their followers. We don't really have an evil point here, so we can't use Seraph reactively, Saras. So we kind of want to either force them to spend resources to clear her, or we want her to sit on board and just clear their followers for us. My opponent goes Vayne here, which is fine because we have Big Soul Hunter. That's good for us. Go ahead and play another discount here to try and find lethal at some point. Big Soul Hunter. At this point, the goal is we want to play Gilnalese next turn so we can fill our hand on turn 10. So in order to get value out of Gilneas here, we are trying to go wide as well as have some zero cost cards we can play alongside the Gilneas. So because of that, we play the Bone Drone. If we play Assembly Droid, we play Big Soul Hunter as well. We're very wide here. And we use Manifest Menace to clear that so they can't clear our followers. So the goal here is to bait them into playing Latham. If they play Latham here, we are pretty wide. We can use Big Soul Hunter to clear the Latham, and then we can buff the entire board of Gilneas. So that is the goal. Hopefully they just drop their Latham here, it would be good for us, but unfortunately they do have Octris here, which is actually probably better than Latham in this specific situation for them, because they can deny the one assembly draw I get out of the Bone Drone, as well as use the knife to clear another Bone Drone. You can check what loot Octris gave them even. So you can see they have a pair of boots as well, which is pretty annoying because that means they can play Latham next turn for free basically. Go ahead and get rid of the Gilneas, and then we just buff our board with the Gilneas, sorry. And then just hit face with the Big Soul Hunter, no reason to clear these really. We're just trying to kill them at this point. So there's the Latham. And you're gonna go ahead and use the boots on Latham here. My opponent makes a slight mistake in trading here, but it doesn't really matter. But yeah, they should have traded the knight and then hit face and then trade the knight and hit face and trade the knight instead, but if my opponent wants to do it that way, that's fine. We go ahead and draw off our Gilneas here, and we pick up the Lyria, which is great because that means we can find lethal. So we go ahead and play the fairy. This Lyria into a fairy into Gilneas or Gramarye combo is quite important to remember. So yeah, especially useful when you have Arcus in play because that's a like 20 something damage OTK or something stupid like that. But in this case, if you have something like Gilneas on board, we can go ahead and use that as well. So our Gilneas can attack 3 times now with a buff. We can now deal 15 damage for a nice OTK out of nowhere. So yeah, that's it for this game. So that's it for the games I have for you today. Honestly, this deck is actually pretty interesting to play. It's not as difficult as Midrange Sword, I would say. Although it does have its own like issues that you really need to think about, like where to find your damage and do you have enough damage to win game, and how much can you ignore their board while going face to make sure you win the game. So yeah, pretty interesting deck to play. You can try it if you want. It's a bit expensive though, so like, and also like throwback is ending in like what, 10 days, so if you don't have the vials, you really shouldn't be crafting this. Actually, even if you have the vials, unless you really want to play this deck, you really shouldn't be crafting this in the first place. But because I have a need for attention, I need to make videos, so that's why I built the deck. Well, also because I wanted to try it. But yeah, that's it for this video. See you next time. Bye bye.